In our first story, traditional authorities of Manya, a community in the Ganwes municipality, are calling on the assembly and government to intervene and stop the takeover of the community cemetery by some indigents. Some unscrupulous sons, according to them, have in recent times been engaged in the desecration of tombs to reclaim land which they sell or develop themselves. Incidentally, the traditional authorities sometime last year resisted such attempts by the assembly to fence the cemeteries. Latif Idris has more.
The Manhian community is already battling with a number of social and developmental issues, including bad roads, land guardism, and land reclamation. As if that is not enough, the faceless individuals are taking their activities to the resting place of the dead.
In the era of scarcity of land, particularly in the national capital of Accra, people have adopted extreme means of making the commodity available, one of which is the encroachment of cemeteries. And here at Ablekuman Manhian, you would see an upcoming structure that is just about some 10 yards from the last tomb here at the cemetery.
Cemetery encroachment ebam eake bena for cemetery afokomimu shikemi bonu pa ekometo he komeni amechoni yeni cemetery.
The issue of the cemetery is a real challenge. Areas covered with grave at the time we were growing up have been encouraged by people, and today all those areas have been covered with buildings. We want to protect what is left of the cemetery.
Wana ekumeni was stop ni bia ni lololo be e machine kan e was cemetery le no na ehwele won mengbe koni muko encroach keyami e wo bia ne podente we okay assembly asset committee ye je ni committee epo yemi ye committee yemi ni won kwani Gan West cemetery fe manfema ni cemetery oje abakwe kuni afwe assembly denteke iba afwe ke yale ni ke gate atana na wele workers ni ba asa mi fe yejeme.
Initially when the encroachment started, we start talking about it. So wherever they've reached, we stop them, we block them, and we constructed a road to separate where they've reached with the cemetery. So now the encroachment is no more coming. Just of recently, this GPRTU, they said their local branch wanted to have some small portion that they will put container on it.
Assembly member of the Manhian electoral area tells JoyNews the assembly took notice of the phenomenon and started some work, but faced opposition from within the same traditional authority, which is now crying foul.
The assembly some time ago decided to even fence all cemeteries within the municipality. We took it to General Assembly and we agreed, but it's left for the process to begin. And up to now, you know, it looks like most of the cemeteries are being managed by the traditional authorities. So some feel when the assembly comes in to fence it, it will be taken over from them. But it's not the case.
So are you experiencing some pushbacks?
Yes. So I feel all the cemeteries within the municipality should be fenced. And just like the case of Maya Cemetery, it's been encroached upon daily.
It appears the phenomenon of encroachment of cemeteries is not happening in Manhian alone, but in other parts of the country facing the challenge of land scarcity.
Some staff of the Ghana Grade Company are threatening series of industrial actions starting today to demand monies they say is owed them by the Electricity Company of Ghana and a number of other organizations. The Great Coast Senior Staff Association at a news conference said there will be a withdrawal of all their emergency services as well as picketing at the Electricity Company of Ghana offices and the Ministry of Finance for the money to be paid. Well, they warned the entire country could be without power if the issue is not addressed in time. JoyNews' Henry Kwesibedu sat through a news conference addressed by the National Chairman of the Senior Staff Association, Ralph O'Connor, and has more in the following report.
So Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.
Gridco senior staff members fired up. The group cited neglect by the central government and huge indebtedness as reasons for their intended strike action. They added that Ministry of Finance has defied a directive by the president to pay some 250 million Ghana cedis debt owed Gridco some 6 months ago.
We ask government to, as a matter of urgency, settle ECG and VALCO debt to Gridco. You will recall that during this year May Day celebrations across the country, staff of Gridco raised the issues of our debt situation. At the back of that, there was a meeting at the presidency with our management, where we were told that President directed the finance minister to pay Gridco the 250 million Ghana cedi requested by Gridco management, whilst government takes steps to raise bonds to settle the legacy debts. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 6 months now, and that promise is yet to be fulfilled.
According to chairman of the Senior Staff Association of Gridco, Raphael Kono, this is affecting the day-to-day running of the company.
Our operations involve traveling across the length and breadth of the country. Due to the financial situation of our company, fuel for our operations is being rationed. Hoteliers are not making their facilities available for us when we travel for our maintenance activities. When we travel, we lodge in hotels. But because we owe them so much that we cannot pay, when we go, they drive us. Staff have to sleep in canopies. Some have to lodge in some classrooms just to carry out their operations and maintenance. Enough is enough.
The group says they will disconnect all customers indebted to Gridco in 2 weeks.
From Friday, 22nd November, staff will treat all emergencies work as normal work within the normal working hours. From Friday, 29th November 2019, staff are going to march to ECG office and the Ministry of Finance to picket in demand of our money. If by the close of work, Wednesday, December 4th, all these debts are not paid, we will declare a sit-down strike. Following the sit-down strike, we shall impress on management to disconnect all customers indebted to us. And management cannot stand in our way. Management cannot stand in our way.
The staff insists their action is aimed at restoring Gridco back to its glory days. Henry Kwesibedu's report for JoyNews.
Forever, solidarity forever.
In other news, the minority in parliament is challenging the Akufo-Addo-led administration to make public the number of kindergarten blocks constructed since 2018. According to ranking member on the Education Committee, government promised to construct some 200 of such blocks to boost access to early childhood education. But that so far has not materialized. The minority argues government's failure to pay attention to basic education is affecting the quality of education at the formative level. Contributing to the budget debate on the floor of the House, Mr. Noguchi also accused government of a deliberate attempt to stifle education at the basic level by failing to also supply the required textbooks for the current curricula introduced in the new academic year.
Education is suffering from serious neglect for some time now. This is because for the 3 years of this government, there isn't much you can talk about as far as infrastructure at that level is concerned. In the 2017 and 18-19 budgets, they projected about 200 kindergarten blocks. As we speak now, we are not told the number that has been completed. And you don't see any serious attempt being made to make sure that the basic level education is given the necessary attention that it deserves. Mr. Speaker, the basic education level is in dire need of infrastructure. And if that is not done, we don't know where we are going.
Well, we have to bring you a wrap-up of the news this morning. We'll bring you more news as we look at the newspapers. But before we go, the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research says it has tested some herbal potions which could prove a potential cure for some types of cancers. Officials say this is the outcome of work done by the institute with some locally produced herbs, as well as with some herb practitioners since 2009. My colleague Ohimin Teria has more in the following report.
Anti-cancer drug Tasor and artemisinin used in the treatment of malaria were all derived from plants. Scientists and local herbalists are on a program spearheaded by Noguchi Institute on a cancer drug discovery mission. Researchers have identified and conducted trials with a number of plants believed to contain compounds needed for cancer drugs. Professor Regina Appiah-Oppong is head of Clinical Pathology Department at the University of Ghana and toxicologist at the Noguchi Memorial Institute.
The Noguchi Institute has been researching into cancer, and so far we have a broader vision, and we have started off with drug discovery, and we have been working over the past few years trying to find drugs or plants with the potential to treat cancer. And so we have breast cancer, not only breast cancer, the other cancers, including breast cancer. And indeed, we have worked on a couple of plants that have shown interesting activities, and we are still working on them. And the idea is to come out with some plants, some compounds that can be developed further into drugs that would be useful on the market for treating breast cancer. So the idea is to see which compound is effective. And when this compound comes out, then you are getting a drug. Then you can make more of that compound, and then you can characterize the compound and then do a few other experiments to see, is it toxic? Because you have the plant itself, maybe people are using it's okay, but if you get the compound out of it, then you need to do animal toxicity first. Is it toxic to animals when they take it? What concentration should you use? What dose do you need that will treat it? And so we do all those things, and then because we have worked on it, tested it with in vitro, and tested it even on human Ghanaian breast cancer tissues, it is effective.
Despite the progress made so far, officials fear funding constraints could delay the project. Professor Appiah-Oppong says this is critical, especially as the institute will be required to work with external collaborators in areas of capacity limitation.
Indeed, drug discovery can take a while. Like you said, it can take 10 years, it can take 20 years, but it can just take just about 10 years now, or even less, depending on the efforts and the funds that are available. Because you get a lot of support. For instance, this cancer is a critical condition. And so if you have something that is effective and you have stakeholders, people who are interested in supporting this work, then life gets much easier, because there are steps that it has to go through. It has to go through a couple of, I cannot list all the steps, but it has to go through a couple of developmental steps. And we have to screen it very well to make sure that when it goes to the market, it's not going to create problems.
Meanwhile, female employees of Anglo Ashanti have reached out to project partners with a donation of 27,000 Ghana cedis to support the initiative. Human Resource Superintendent at Anglo Ashanti, Hilda Ahin, presented a check for the amount.
As a company, it's part of our social responsibility to support the health initiatives within our communities. So we decided to donate to the Noguchi Memorial Center so that they can help in their research to reduce the impact of breast cancer in Ghana.
From Kumasi for JoyNews, Ohimin Teria reporting.
Well, that's it for the rest of the news this morning, but we have more news as we look at what stories are dominating the newspapers this morning. But let me run this by you. Don't you just hate it when your data runs out in the middle of something that you're doing that is very important? Well, Selfline, Ghana's first and only true 4G light network, has introduced a bundle, and that bundle is guaranteeing you a total space and a peace of mind throughout the month. Selfline's always on bundles gives you unlimited data that never stops for the whole month. No need for unexpected expenses in the middle of the month on internet data. The always on bundle from Selfline guarantees that as you dial, all these will be sorted out. So make sure that you dial *718 *77# to purchase an always on bundle today. The always on bundle is also available at all Selfline shops, Shell shops, Express Pay, as well as with all means of payment through each Transact, Slide Pay, Haptel, and Koba electronic platform. Selfline always on bundle, pure unlimited bundle that never stops. Selfline, it's about time. Make sure that you do all this patronage for Selfline, and we'll all be better for it. But right now, let's look at what stories are dominating the newspapers. And after that, we'll look at sports right here on the show.